Welcome to Offsides, the official, unofficial podcast of Charlotte FC. I'm your host, Andres Robledo, and I'm joined by my co host, Pablo Robledo. What's up, Pablo?
Hey, what's going on today?
So, pretty packed show. This is going to be our first episode, inaugural episode. And it's going to be probably longer than our average show just because there's a lot to talk about. There's the DC United game, and then we're going to talk about the first home game, and then some stuff we thought about the team, and then we'll talk about the Atlanta United game coming up this Sunday. So why don't you kick it off? What are your thoughts on the DC United game? They played at DC and lost 3-0.
Man, that was a tough match for them. Especially for a team that has just been assembled in like 2 months. I got a couple
Yeah,
of notes on that as far as like our signings. But first game is an away game at an Atlanta crowd.
DC crowd.
I'm sorry, a DC crowd that they've been champions before.
Yeah,
It's got to be nerve wracking walking in fresh and still not clicking. The DC's been around for a while and they got a good group going on. So yeah, that's got to be nerve wracking walking in there like that. But I
especially
thought they
like
handled that well.
one of the things I really like that the DC United team does at their home games. When I was watching the highlights, after each goal, they kind of like turn the floodlights on and off. Like
Yeah,
I'm sure that kind of also is. It's like that little intangible thing when you're a player, like you just got scored on and you got to deal with like these lights going on and off. Like it's like one of those weird mental things, but it definitely affects you. But yeah, 3-0 away to a team that's been in the league for super long time, very talented. I mean, they've had Wayne Rooney on the team before. Like that's a team that knows what they're doing. But I will say, watching the highlights, I actually think 3-0, and this is going to sound a little dumb, was the worst case scenario because I think all three goals were really unlucky. Like
totally.
the PK, I mean, penalties are going to happen. It's just, you're making a mistake in the box. But the second goal, like, it takes a bad bounce off Christian Fuchs. And then I actually don't even recall the third goal anymore, but I remember watching it. It just seemed a little unlucky. But yeah, tough first game for the team. Any other thoughts you want to put on that game?
Well, I think you nailed it right on the spot as far as an unlucky match for Charlotte. You start the game off strong with that 18-minute header by Ortiz, and it gets called offside. Now I looked at several replays, and that's a close, very close call there. I didn't think it was offsides. I'm saying, and I'm sticking by this, it's not offsides. Bad refing on that. But you gotta. It is what it is on that. You gotta stick with what the ref says and just move past it. The other goals that DC had, that one foul. I mean, that is a mistake. You got to deal with that. But the other two goals were definitely just lucky. Like, okay, going back to that 15-minute where number 7 for DC shoots and it's deflected by our captain Fuchs and it gives it that bad bounce where Kalini can't stop it.
Yeah, you can't get to it.
In the do over, you've seen our goalkeeper stop shots from outside the box before. Should Fuchs try to jump up and deflect it, or just let our keeper handle it? Like this is where it comes into that situation where our team hasn't clicked yet. We haven't had that much time to trust each other, so we're trying to like do everything ourselves.
Yeah,
And that's just what I've seen so far. I say let the goalkeeper handle it. He's an experienced, older, senior guy, where he
yeah,
should be
29
able to
years
handle
old.
a outside shot like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he could have handled that. I mean, I'll get into this more in the second match because I think that we just have more to say in that one. But I will say I feel like I've seen a lot of praise lately for the defense. Like that's kind of a lot of people are saying like that's been our strongest point so far. I don't know if I totally agree with that. I see a lot of fundamentals not being followed in that defense. I think I think they keep their shape really well, but they do it at the sacrifice of just giving opposition way too much space in our own third. I mean, we can talk about this more in the LA Charlotte game, our home game, just because I watched more of that match than I did the DC United game. But yeah, that was kind of my last note on that as well.
No, yeah, I agree. It seems to be a reoccurring theme with our defense, whereas, yeah, they're solid, but they're giving some of these guys a lot of time to shoot, or even just set up shots or crosses from outside. Where, if you go back to the DC United at the 51st minute, number 17 gains for DC United, he takes or I'm sorry, not number 17, but who is it? Well, one of the DC United guys, he gets the ball passed to him, and he's got at least 3 or 4 seconds to set up an outside shot that shouldn't have been that long for him to even like have the ball. Like somebody should have been pressuring him right away. Uh, but that's just something that our defense I think has to work on as far as pressuring all these guys that are midfielders coming in.
Yeah. One other thing I think we kind of want to move past the DC game a little bit just to get into the more meat of the topics we're going to talk about. One last thing for me is the 13 fouls at the end of the game. I mean, that's 13 times you're giving your opposition the ball. And I'm pretty, from what I understand, this coach wants to be a possession-based team, building out the back, holding the ball, and moving into the opposition's third. I mean, when you're turning over the ball 13 times through fouls, that just tells me, one, I'd like to go back and look at them, but for me, when I see 13 fouls, it's just telling me you're getting caught out of position. You're getting to the ball late, and you're making, a last-ditch effort to not lose it or to get back. Some of those might have been strategic fouls, which you do see of like, instead of letting the counter attack happen at a breakaway at the 50-yard line, you just foul the guy and you take the chance that you get a card or not, but it stops the other team's momentum. But having 13, I mean, I just think that means we're just getting caught out of position or just arriving to balls too late, and that's just something that needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah, yeah, 13 fouls right towards the end there. That's showing me mental frustration by our players. That shouldn't, these are you're professionals, right? You're MLS, which is a serious league now. We saw it with the fans that showed up at our home game. We'll discuss that later. But you're in the big leagues now, and those type of mistakes, where frustration sets in, you're down 3-0, and you're trying to make something happen, and you're just giving them more chances. That's you can't do that. But again, some of this, the reffing, in my opinion, was not that great. We had that 33 at the 33rd minute. There was a foul where it was not called.
Mm-hmm.
The sideline ref was right there. I mean, he was right beside him. Our guy was going down, and he gets kicked right in the stomach, groin area, and there's absolutely no foul that gets called. What's the result of that? Well, now DC gets to set up a shot across, and then that's when the penalty comes in. The handball, then the penalty. Had that foul been called,
Yeah, completely.
there
different
goes
game.
away their first goal.
Yeah, and I will say also, I thought our offense at times looked a lot better on the DC game than the home game. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, especially from Ortiz. And I can go into it further when we get to the LA game, because the LA game I was not really that impressed with Ortiz. He's supposed to be our playmaker, and I kind of just thought he wasn't during that game. And in this one, I actually did see sparks of it, not throughout the whole game, but there were moments where I was like, okay, now this guy is good with the ball at his feet and good at distributing it. Unlucky not to get the first goal, but we'll have to go from there. Any closing notes on the DC game?
No, I could agree with you. Ortiz, he's on a number 10,
Mhm.
and number 10 comes with a lot of responsibility. You're the anchor. You're the one guy that guys look to. You're the playmaker. Okay, that's why you have that jersey. I believe this is his first number 10 jersey as a professional. So, but then again, 18-minute header, offsides, not offsides, doesn't matter. He put that header in there. He's building the momentum, so I got to give him a lot of credit for
Yeah.
that. I mean, and that's an early header too.
Yeah.
So good
Yeah.
job on him. I'm proud. I'm proud of that. Um, I saw him, like you said, more in that DC United in than I did at the LA Galaxy game. LA Galaxy, I didn't. I mean, I didn't see him that much.
Yeah, I mean, I think I joked with you that the only time I saw him touch the ball was when he was trying to, flick it with his head over for, a quick run, or to keep the long ball going. But we'll get into that here in a second. Let's go ahead and just jump into the to the home game. So last Saturday, Charlotte FC's first home game here in Charlotte, North Carolina, Bank of America Stadium. Record-breaking attendance, was like 74,400 and something people, most in the MLS, and I think third most in the world.
Right. Yeah.
Which is
We'll
crazy.
say 74,000 that paid to get in. Let's just call it even 75,000 because we know.
Yeah.
We set the record there.
Yeah. Let's talk about leading up to that game. It's been 2 years in the making. COVID-19 really, delayed the debut of Charlotte FC. How has the 2 years leading up in your mind been for this team? What do you think the hype has been? Do you think before Saturday that you would have thought there's just going to be 75,000 people there? Like, was it that hyped up, these 2 years leading up? Because in my opinion, it wasn't. It really wasn't until I didn't really feel that until a couple days before.
No, yeah, absolutely. I got tickets early in the year. I nabbed 4 of them in the 500 section, which is for the listeners, if you haven't been to the stadium, it's in the 500 section. It's the upper level, which still great seats if you like the type of aerial view where you can still see close details. But I saw it through like a promotion that came in on my email, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? It's home opener. I'll take the family. We'll have a good time, which it was a good time. It was like very family friendly.
That's probably the most fun I've ever had at an event at Bank of America Stadium.
Exactly. And I've been to, you and I both have been to several Panthers game, International Champions Cups games.
Yeah.
Even when we sat in on those International Championship games, it hasn't. How many times did we get up out of the seat to scream for something? Not that many.
I felt like we barely sat down.
Right. At this game, I was up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
Same. And it was great, because at other games, up and down, it's like, okay, sit down. But this game, it was the energy was above and beyond, and fans, that was awesome. Thank you for showing up like that.
Absolutely, Charlotte. Thanks for showing up. Yeah, I think I have to agree with you. I felt like the hype really wasn't there until maybe the couple of days, and maybe that's a me thing of not being in tune to some of the supporter groups. But your average fan isn't going to be. There's some really diehard supporter groups already for Charlotte FC. I'm a season ticket holder. I bought season tickets right when they became available. And those 2 years leading up, I didn't really meet anyone else that bought season tickets or even really thinking about it. I'm out at the bars a good bit here in the Charlotte area, talking to people. A lot of the people we both played soccer, and a lot of people I still keep in touch with that played. Didn't really hear them about investing in the team like that, so I really wasn't sure what it was gonna be like. I honestly thought the crowd was gonna be more kind of like some of those international friendlies that we've gone to at the stadium, where it's maybe a little over half full, maybe something like that. But I mean, it was incredible. We showed up right as the gates opened, or a little bit before the gates opened, like maybe 5 o'clock, 5:15, and they had so much going. I've never seen the city that packed before. They had a ton of events going on and like free product going around. which is awesome. And then once we got inside the stadium, the renovations of Bank of America Stadium look great. The stadium does look a lot more modern and updated. Um, and everyone was just, foaming at the mouth to get to the team store to get some merch, which, from my perspective of being in that stadium, usually it's people wearing Panthers gear, it's usually for football gear. And there's no one trying to buy new football gear most of the time, right? Like
No.
people still have Jake Delhomme jerseys that they'll wear to the games now, and it's been over 10 years since he was, a Panthers player. But here, people were foaming to get jerseys, T-shirts, scarves, whatever memorabilia they could get for this first game. And yeah, that crowd was electric. What did you think of the atmosphere at the stadium?
Well, I gotta agree with you. I mean, like you said before, we've gone to these other events, and at the team store, you don't see too many people like rush into it to get stuff. You see people browsing, but because like everybody showed up, and it was like everybody was just there to support the team. I saw maybe a handful of LA Galaxy fans,
I
and
think I
which is
saw three total.
right, exactly. And the fact
Even
that
when I
like
was walking around the city earlier that day, because we went to go get like drinks and lunch, and I saw one guy wearing an LA Galaxy jersey just walking around the city.
yeah, yeah, same here. I only saw maybe like three or four guys. Um, but like then you start seeing everybody with their shirts and their scarf and all that stuff. So it's like, hey, I want to go get something too. Like
Yeah.
especially it being the first game, like yeah, you want some memorabilia.
Yeah, I got the
Which
scarf.
if you didn't get, man, go out and get some before prices hike up on that. Because I'm telling you, like they were selling out fast. Jerseys were going like over $100, which I thought was like ridiculous. I'm like, you
Yeah.
better put my name on the back of that thing if you're gonna. I'm sure they would, but they would just charge me extra.
Yeah, so I got a jersey at the team store. I got the scarf. Jen got a jersey at the team store. So we put a fat check there at the team store. But I mean, like the scarf is up in the studio. It's got the date of the inaugural match. It's got the
Oh,
logo on
nice.
both sides. The other side has Charlotte FC versus LA Galaxy. I mean, like that's something I'm gonna display forever. Just because it is such a historic moment. There's only gonna be one home opener. What was it? I got there a lot earlier than you. By the time you got there, how packed were those like ramps, escalators, gates? How bad was it?
It was packed. I gotta say, it was packed. I got probably to the parking lot. Game started at 7:30. We probably got to a parking lot, the regular one I usually park at. That
Yeah,
it's usually never packed and it's always cheap. And I'm not gonna tell anybody
it's
where
a
this
hidden
parking
gem.
lot is at because it's like incredible that nobody has figured this one out. But anyways, we got there maybe 6:15. 10-minute walk to the stadium.
Which is pretty early for you for a game.
Yeah, usually
How
I'm
many
showing up 10 minutes
kickoffs
after.
for Panthers games have we missed?
Yeah, I missed a couple of games, or at least the first quarter.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, we got there. We got to the line. They got our tickets. We're walking to go in the stadium, and some guy was like waving down my wife saying, "Oh, you can't bring that bag inside." They were like, "What?" So apparently now they have this new rule where
Clear bag.
clear bags only, and if you're gonna bring a bag, it's got to be like
Tiny.
tiny, like a wallet almost.
Yeah.
So here's the dilemma: do I put everything in a clear bag, and then what do we do with her new bag? Because this is a new bag for her. So I'm thinking throw it away, whatever. She doesn't want to throw it away.
Yeah.
So it's either walk all the way back to the car and then walk back,
And go through the line
and
again.
go through the line again. So I was like, oh man. We ended up just walking across the street to the parking lot and hide it under a trash can and then just walk back in there. So we didn't miss much. But
The Pablo classic.
of course, I mean, I've hidden many things in the trash can before just because they couldn't go in the stadium.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what, but no, yeah, it was. Lines were packed, but it moved. Thank goodness for the technology we have. It moved fairly quickly.
Yeah.
The only things that wasn't moving quickly was that popcorn line. Did you get any popcorn?
Yeah, so we did. We got the popcorn, and then what we got. I mean, we were there.
I tried
pretty
twice
early.
getting popcorn and they were sold out.
Really?
Yeah, popcorn
Okay.
sold out before the second half.
Oh wow,
It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to take you to our section. They've got popcorn for days now. All right, so let's move past that. We're in the field at 7:15. They kind of start getting the opening ceremonies going. I think one of the coolest moments, I think it'll go down as one of the coolest moments in MLS history happened. The national anthem. The mic cuts out, you can't hear the singer anymore, and the crowd just takes over, doesn't miss a beat. Somehow everyone knew all the words, which was what I was worried about. Yeah. I did have to do a little bit of mumbling. I think everyone will probably say they did as well. But I mean, how awesome was that?
Yeah, that was
to be in this crowd.
That was pretty
for
amazing.
I have a conspiracy theory about that too.
Well, tell.
They get the mic fixed for half a line, let's say, maybe 3 or 4 seconds. The mic comes back on. I think they cut it off again on purpose. I think they fixed it and then just unplugged and said, "This is way cooler."
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, how could it not be?
Yeah, it's not a viral moment if it's only for a couple of seconds and then the singer takes over again.
Yeah, I mean, rewind it and let's say they get it fixed and she sings and kind of takes over. Like, that's kind of, you ruin the moment there. You totally ruin that moment.
Yeah.
So if they did fix it and then they cut it back on, bravo to them, because I mean the way the fans just kind of took over and was like, we understood the assignment type of deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
I did not know the words. I still don't know the words. I know maybe the Red Rockets player. I don't know the words. I'm sorry, but I don't know.
I think you get a pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. The video they played, I wish they would post that online. If they have, I haven't seen it. But the intro video to the team, where they've got someone walking up to the throne, and it was very like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thronesy, but with the players like dribbling and shouting.
You like that?
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
I
You didn't like
that? No. I was like, okay, so you guys have been putting in more time doing production work than like practice work. I'm like, stop doing like get on the field and practice. Like we don't. If you want to put highlights up there, like make them good. I don't need like fake ones.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the video was cool and whatever. It was like artsy. It was odd.
It was different
Game
than
of Thrones
what you see
type
at a
of
sporting
feel.
event.
Yeah.
But I thought it was like a cool hype thing. Like if I saw that and then I had to go play, that would give me like a 10% like adrenaline boost.
Yeah, like you said, it is a good hype video for sure. But I wasn't a fan of it. I mean, I could have done without.
Yeah. All right, so let's. One thing you want to talk about were the uniforms. I think they've grown on me. I didn't like them when they first came out, but it's grown on me, especially seeing it live in person on the field, and even on. I rewatched the game on TV earlier this week, and even just seeing on TV, I think they look different than your traditional uniform. Like not just even in the MLS, but just the footballing world in general. Which I think is kind of cool because you'll always know when it's a Charlotte highlight, unless they're in their away uniform, which honestly I have no idea what it looks like.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts?
I don't like the uniforms. I still don't like the uniforms, and I know you only like the uniforms because you paid over $100 for a jersey, so you have to like them.
I'm a little invested now.
Yeah. No, one, I don't like Adidas.
That is my biggest gripe. It's not as I'm a Nike fanboy. I think you are too.
Yeah.
It's not as comfortable as a Nike jersey.
No, and once you get into a Nike jersey, then I will purchase whatever uniform color scheme they put out.
I think has an exclusive agreement with all of MLS.
Yeah, I believe you're right, and that's also due to the some of these the generation Adidas players that have come out from there, which are great players, and that's fine. I'm sure eventually Nike or whoever will step in. Yeah, I don't like it because the way it is. First of all, I like, for me, and this is just me, I'm a more of a solid color type of guy, where it's, if you're going to have a jersey, blue, let it be all blue, and then whatever stripes you want to put on, the black or the white, and that's fine. Or if it's gonna be like our away jerseys, I do like because they're the solid black.
Oh yeah.
The sleeves on the blue. I'm sorry, the white sleeves and then the blue solid. I think I get the theme of it where it's supposed to be like, if you look at Knights, where they have a solid uh, body and then their sleeves are different. I think that's what they were going for. Not sure, but that's kind of like, if like I'm looking at your jersey now, that's kind of what it looks like. Um, but I'm not a fan of it. It looks like just like a preset jersey kit on a FIFA game when you're like making something. It's just like this is what you get, now pick it and make it.
Yeah.
But I'm like you said, it's not a bad uniform. I do it's not terrible, but I'm
It
not
makes
gonna.
sense why they went with the color they went with too, with it being Panthers. They're sharing the stadium.
Well, yeah, that's very convenient.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to
Imagine if
repaint
they
a
would
whole
have
bunch of stuff.
gone like hot pink or something, and every weekend you're gonna have to
Exactly.
switch out the color. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that the color theme I get obviously is Charlotte, Panthers, Hornets. We're all blue. Like this, Charlotte bleeds blue. Um, but no, I like the away jersey much better. It's a solid black. That's great. If they would have done a solid white for the home, oh yeah, I'm in. I'm buying it. I'll buy it. But no, I'll wait till they remake it or do something. For
You
sure.
don't even want to get one for the just the history of it. Like, I mean, this is gonna be their first home jersey ever. There's gonna be no other first home jersey.
I'll do this. I'll
Because I think I'm gonna, when they get a new one, I'll probably get the new one and just frame this one.
frame it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess that's a good idea. That's not too bad. I'll probably, if I do get one, I'll get the away one, because like I said, I'm a big fan of the solid. Like when I played high school ball, like we had either just all solid green or all solid white, and that's how I liked it. That's just how I've grown up. It's just drilled into my brain. Um,
And the teams you like are that way as well.
right? Yeah.
You're a big Man United fan. They're solid red, pretty
They're
much.
solid red, or Real Madrid's a solid white or solid black. Um, but no, like I'll probably wait towards the end of the season and maybe hit up a clearance somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. Put it on my Amazon wish list.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into the actual match itself. 1-0. LA win on a crazy great goal. We can get more into that later. I have some thoughts on that. But I think you and I briefly talked about the game or the result right after the match, and you had a great point of saying like that's a good loss against LA Galaxy. And when you first said that, I was kind of like, yeah, I guess so. And looking back at the match again, I think two things. Well, I think multiple things. But I'll start with these two. I think 1-1 would have been best case scenario after it all the way it all played out. I think the best result they could have gotten out of that was 1-1. I think the second best result was 1-0 lost. I think that's the second best thing Charlotte could have done. And I'll preface it by saying the only reason I think they could have gotten the 1-1 draw is because maybe there was a Pika call for Fuchs right there towards the end where he gets kind of dragged down a little bit when he's trying to force that ball towards the end of the second half. I'm a little 50-50 on that call. We can get to it later. But let's start with the first half. What were your thoughts?
No, I agree with you 100%. That was an honorable loss against LA Galaxy, who have won the cup multiple times, have an established history. They know what their program is all about. They know what players to bring, how to rotate them. They have a good coaching staff with a lot of history. And many great players have gone through that team.
And there's some great players there now. I mean,
of
to
course.
highlight, Chicharito, obviously. I think that's going to be one more people know. But, I didn't even notice until I was there watching the game. Douglas Costa is playing there now. He still a phenomenal winger. But, that guy was a menace when he played for Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Just speed, with the ball, technical, great crossing, great dribbling, and he still looks phenomenal. So yeah, like you said, incredibly talented team.
Yeah, and then that's where some of the advantages and disadvantages of having an established team with money
Yeah.
will get you. You've had a David Beckham come through there. He wasn't cheap. Donovan, who is a great U.S. player, but he wasn't cheap either. He was an international, international star for sure in a home star
Homegrown
as well.
player, yeah.
Yeah. Ibrahimovic, he wasn't cheap.
No.
If you bring those type of players to Charlotte, it's gonna cost you in cap room. I don't know if they have cap room here or not, but it's gonna cost you somewhere else as far as.
Yeah, so I guess preface this again. We're both pretty new to the MLS league. I mean, that's this home game was the first full 90-minute MLS game I've watched in over 15 years, probably.
Same here.
So we're a bit new to the league, but not new to the sport. We're both, big EPL fans, big Champions League fans, La Liga fans. But yeah, there is a cap. I think it is like 4.9 million, which when you compare that to some of the European clubs, you have players making that a year, not just a whole roster.
And that's not even top tier players.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it makes the league interesting, makes who you can bring in interesting. And then there are exceptions. Obviously, I think you get 3 designated player spots, which is where the cap doesn't count towards them. So that's how LA is able to bring in the Beckhams, the Ibrahimoviches, the Chicharitos, the Costas. And that's how I believe Fuchs is as well for Charlotte. And I forget who our other 2 DPs are.
Swedensky?
Yeah.
Number 11, our striker.
Our striker, yeah. And, and he was out that DC United game because of visa issues.
Right, visa issues.
Mm-hmm. So, again, I think to go back to that DC United game real quick, I think that game could have been a little different with him there. But anyways, let's move back onto the LA game. Go on. What do you think of the performance?
Well, starting off strong. 8-minute header by Reyna, which I'm starting to like Reyna. He's fast. He's agile.
You think he's fast and agile?
Yeah, you don't think so?
I think he's slow and stiff.
Oh man, that's crazy.
I'm starting to not like Reyna.
I think Reyna had a good header where obviously there was a foul called and it wouldn't have counted if he had made it. But I mean, he made himself known that game. Like I noticed him a lot more than like how you said Ortiz.
Yeah.
I barely saw Ortiz that game, but I saw Reyna quite a bit.
Yeah, I guess my issue with Reyna, I think so. From what I understand, our coach is trying to play, 5 in the back, 3 midfielders, and then 2 forwards, and I just don't think. I don't think Reyna is very fast or very even good with the ball. I don't think he's a very technical player.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you are building from the back and you have, for that formation to work, you need your 2 outside defenders, your wingbacks, to be very fast, very technical. And you need your forwards to create some really good runs. I think LA did really good of that, of like some really clever runs into the box. But you need to be able to receive the ball really quickly and, turn with it, be very dynamic with it when receiving it. And I don't see Reyna that way. I feel like he can only receive it and have his back to the goal. And I see him more as like a hold-up forward where he's getting the ball and holding it, kind of shielding it against, the defender on him to allow runs go past him to then play off of him that way.
I see.
I don't think the formation is great for that right now just because of, 1, I don't think he's a great distributor of the ball. I don't think he's a very technical player. And then 2, I think our midfield isn't dynamic enough to complement him in that system.
Yeah.
So I have to disagree with you.
Our midfield for sure needs some work. But again, you're talking about a team that didn't have a full roster until a month ago or so. you know.
Yeah.
So now, again, this is a disadvantage because of the whole pandemic and things getting pushed. Had we had a full roster or even half a roster, a lot of these guys, chemistry, wise, would have been a lot better than it is now. Not saying that it's bad, because um, going back to talking about Galaxy and such a strong team they are, and that we only lost 1-0 was an honorable loss. But had we had more time to develop, where guys build that chemistry where you know where somebody is without having to look.
Yeah.
You know where
Just
to put
lets
the
you
ball.
play a lot faster.
Exactly. You know where they like the ball placed for a header, or you know where they like the ball placed for a through ball. You know where they like to make those cuts, things like that. That takes time, and time is something that we don't have.
Yeah.
It's not that we didn't have; it's that we don't have. We're
Yeah, I
already
agree.
2 games in, third game's coming up. So no, I think right now, let's keep an eye on him.
I think so.
I
Yeah,
think he's
it's
gonna
still
show
early
up.
to be very critical of any player, which I mean, honestly, I probably will be throughout this whole podcast, just because I'm going to be very critical of this team, just because I care a lot. I want the best out of this team.
Yeah.
There is talent there. But right now, I think my biggest frustration with the team right now is just a lack of fundamentals. I kind of forgive some of the chemistry stuff, but some of the fundamental stuff I just feel like they're missing. Like, to go back to our point about the defense, LA just had our whole middle third and the top of our own third to play in, and our defense kept shape, but again at that sacrifice of just not pushing out and pressuring and cutting guys off, and cutting the space off. I mean, LA picked up on that very early, where I forget who on the team that they picked up the ball, took a couple dribbles, saw that there was no space. Our defense kind of assumed that he was going to go for a cross, just because that's what they had been doing. So they set up prematurely for the cross. The guy sees that. The keeper has come off the line anticipating the cross, and
You're talking about Damascus, that shot from the outside.
Yeah, where he hits
Yes.
the corner post.
Funny you mentioned that. Looking back on the highlights, I actually timed it from when he receives the ball as a pass to when he looks for a cross and then decides to shoot, because so much time has been given to him. It was 5 seconds. Now 5 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's done. But in soccer, I mean, you're giving him a lifetime there. He gets, and this is still early in the game, the 17th minute. He gets the ball. No pressure from the defense at all. Like, nobody's coming towards him. Nobody's like even.
They all kind of sit at the top of the box.
Sitting there like, okay, where's he gonna cross? Like, again, this lack of communication, lack of chemistry, but still some fundamental, like you said, has to be there, like drilled into your brain. Like, he's got the ball, I gotta go get him.
Yeah, I need to at least, for any new...
And he shoots from outside the box.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's not unheard of, but to give him that much time to set up for a shot from outside, that's a lot.
And if there are any people new to the sport that are listening,
saved by the post too. Thank goodness.
Yeah, very lucky. When we're saying, like, to cut away the space, I'm not necessarily saying you need to be right on top of them, but you need to cut certain angles off. Like, he has to loft that ball up, so you need to at least get in front of him 3 or 4 yards where that loft is going to hit, chest, head area of you.
Yeah, either cut off the angle or just cut off the option where he has the option to shoot. Like, he just, make him make a decision, make him react to you, not you react to him, type of deal.
Yeah. And one other thing, I don't think I mentioned it before. I think, well, you said, honorable loss, 1-0. You both said basically best case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Charlotte was very lucky to end the night 1-0.
Yes.
It could have easily been
4 or 5-0 at least.
I think even more than that.
Yeah. Taking look at my notes here, I got 3 shots from Chicharito in the first half. And that's
he was unlucky
a shot on
not
the
to score.
14th minute. I got a shot at the 18th minute, and then I got another shot at the 23rd minute.
Yeah.
Now this is a world class player from LA Galaxy. Game plan going into this is okay. Somebody's staying on him the whole game. Where his shadow goes, you go. Like that should have been it. He's sneaky.
He's moving in and out of space.
Yes.
Incredible.
Yeah.
He looks great for 34-year-old forward who's had knee injuries. He was fast and strong and didn't need a lot of space or a lot of time to get a powerful shot off. I mean, there was one in the first half that I think he was unlucky not to score. I think it goes into the side netting, where it's just a ground pass from the outside defender into him in the box, and he just one times it into the side netting. He's got a guy on his left, putting weight on him.
Yeah.
And that ball's coming in quick. I mean, to have the ability to just do that, and
yeah,
he did it multiple times. So
I know what you're talking about. Where if you go back and look at the replay on that, he's got two guys on him, and he slips by both of them on a through ball. Good save by our goalkeeper. But if it wasn't for an experienced goalkeeper, that could have easily gone in, and you're talking 14 minutes into the game, 1-0.
Yeah,
and that's demoralizing.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in front of such a big crowd, home crowd.
Not only for the crowd, but just for the team in general. Just like it could have easily turned. It could have went downhill very fast.
Absolutely, yeah. I did want to speak on the keeper, the Charlotte keeper. What's his name?
Kalina.
I thought he looked great. I think he looks like a strong keeper, which, I've been a fan of teams who have a bad keeper. And when your starting keeper is bad, that means, your backups are really bad.
Yeah.
And anytime you are on a team with a bad keeper, it feels like walking on glass constantly. Like, it just puts that much more pressure on the whole team of not making a mistake. Just because, your last resort isn't very reliable.
Exactly.
So to have a very reliable keeper, very good keeper. I mean, he had some great saves. I think he ended up getting man of the match for Charlotte.
He did. Yeah, he got crowned at the end there.
Yeah, I think that's a strong note for the team, and I think that's something they can build out of. Having a good keeper is always great.
I think they'll probably take away some of the, lessons that you and I are speaking on right now, as far as like, yes, LA Galaxy is a strong team, and yes, we lost only 1-0, but they'll know like, okay, this keeper is really good. Like, we can rely on him. Like, if they're gonna take a shot outside the box, he can handle that. Like, going back to the DC United game where one of them goes in off of a deflect, because I think it's because defense doesn't, they don't communicate and they don't trust each other, and they're just like trying to do everything themselves, where, step back and let him shoot.
Yeah.
Or not even let him shoot, but, don't jump and deflect. Yeah. Just get in front of it type of deal.
That's definitely something, and again, maybe new fans to the sport might be thinking, well, why would you let someone shoot on your keeper? There are world-class keepers out there, or even just, keepers with a lot of confidence in themselves, who, when a guy's out in space, will shout to the defenders like, hey, let it go. Like, I've got it. Let it go through. Right. If he shoots it, we have the ball. Like, that's basically a turnover. Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if there's the communication breakdown there between Fuchs and him, but it looked a lot better this game. I think he looked really good.
Yeah, I think he's got to also step up and communicate better with that defensive line of placing them, telling them who to cover, or not that he should be telling them, but like
even just a push up into space.
Yeah, just having them push, because many times I saw 3 defenders in the box, and then they're just like crowding it. It's like,
even when he
get out.
Yeah, there's been some times where he has the ball, he's caught the ball or recovered it, and you still got 2 of our center backs just walking out of the box in the first half. I mean, that's something he needs to kind of just, as a leader, step up, shout, hey, get up. Like, we're giving it. Anytime you're not taking space, you're giving the other team that space. And when that's in your own half, I mean, that's incredibly dangerous. especially again with such a talented attacking team like LA. And that kind of brings me to my point. What I want to talk the most about that game. So I think at the end of the half, we only had one recorded shot on goal. And it came very late. I think it came from Swardevsky.
Yes, yeah, 42nd minute, Swideski shot. He's from outside the box, actually. Good momentum builder towards the end, unfortunately.
So I have some thoughts on that, and then I'll get my overall thought out first. I think so. We kind of mentioned we didn't really see Ortiz that much this game, and I think that I don't know if that is just bad performance by him. Is he that kind of guy, inconsistent? You're gonna have some great games out of him, or you're gonna have some duds. I don't know. I don't know his career that well. One thing that I'll say to give him the benefit of the doubt is I think with the formation we're playing of trying to build up out of the back, to have that really be successful, again, I mentioned we need really fast, technical wing backs to push up the line.
Yeah.
And you also need really good deep center mids to be the connective tissue between defense and offense. And what I mean by that is they kind of have to play almost like the quarterback position, where they're receiving the ball, turning it, and playing it somewhere, playing it into the open space, and not moving it just up and down the field, but across, left and right, diagonal. And I think our offense is very one-dimensional right now, where they will only move the ball up the sideline, and once they kind of get cut off, they just cross. And my biggest issue with that is if your only attack is to cross, you're constantly only going to have 50-50 shots of scoring a goal. Exactly. And realistically, less, because usually our one forward is covered by two center backs and a goalie.
Yeah,
so really, you might only have a quarter chance.
Punch it or grab it.
Yeah, so if you're relying on that all game to score goals, I think you're just not going to see that many. And that was kind of my big takeaway is our defensive mid was just running with cinder blocks tied to his ankles. I thought he was really very slow. And I don't know, obviously, we're not in the coach's room. I don't know if his assignment was, hey, man mark a certain guy, because there was moments where when we had the ball, he was still just shoulder to shoulder with, I think it was like number 7 or something on LA. And for the listeners, I'm talking about number 13 on Charlotte. He's our defensive midfielder, Bensico or something, I believe. And listeners, we will get better at knowing the names.
No, you're right. Bronico, I believe. Brant Bronico. He's a center mid.
I mean, and he also didn't really do anything on the defensive side that kind of made me wowed, I didn't think he was this like impenetrable wall between LA's attack and our back line, which is, sometimes what you'll get out of that position.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times what that position, especially in the more modern game, is really meant to be kind of like a playmaker position. Like, you're picking out the quick short passes to make quick runs off of, or you're finding that long ball into space. And he just did neither. And I don't really think he did a ton on defense either for me. That was notable. But he was just very slow. Mm-hmm. The few times I did see him like peel off the guy he was marking into space, he just immediately played it right back into the center back who played it into him. There was no turning with the ball, no taking it into space. And I don't know if it was just him or the other midfielders as well, but there's a lot of times where we would get the ball deep in our own half, turn, maybe not even turn as well, and not take the space in front of us. There was a lot of times where LA kind of gave us back our third up to the halfway line, and we just didn't take it. Didn't dribble up to it, didn't play a threatening ball in there. So I think that needs to get a lot better soon. I don't know if that comes out of trusting a different player in that position, signing someone new, or if this was a bad game for him. But I think that could have been one of the issues. We didn't see Ortiz that much, was just that he just wasn't getting that ball played into him, because he kind of floated at the halfway line, wanting to receive the ball, turn, and attack. and that just never came. Um, and then my second point being like, Charlotte FC, we need to learn to switch the ball and to play into space. I felt, from watching the game that everything was played at people's feet and at them. And when you watch some of the best teams in the world, they're playing into space. They're playing to where players can run onto it so that the team's attack can be fluid and dynamic and fast. So you can catch defenders off balance. When you're playing at feet and right at your player, right at your receiving player, it's a lot slower game. You're letting the defense now be more dynamic to where they can cut the angles off and win the ball a lot quicker. And it's just slower. It's just, I don't think it's going to get it done, especially with that formation of where we want to build from the back and attack quickly down the lines.
Yeah.
I think you have to play in this. And there was just so many times where we would be on the left side of the field and our wing back, Lindsay, would just be wide open.
Yeah, many times I saw him
the
open where they
whole
could have
half.
just switched it.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the whole half to play with. Just play a lofted ball into that space. Let him run onto it. And he's a creative attacking player where, hey, just see what he does. Just play it and let him take the risk.
You got to take a chance on it for sure.
Yeah, and I just think right now we're too one-dimensional where we just force aside and try to go for a cross. Now, that, again, staying on the first half, going back to our only shot on goal, Sordetsky gets the ball, turns and shoots. I think I'm a little less critical seeing it again, and also understanding so the ball, he gets the ball, great ball from Fuchs, who recovers the ball, plays a clever pass into him. He's dropped from being in the box to into that space to receive it, and it just gets stuck underneath him. I don't know if that's just from lack of practice, lack of technical skills.
There. It's just lack of practice.
Yeah,
I mean,
for me, when you're a top class player, I mean, it happens. It happens to the best players where you receive the ball and it just gets stuck under you. It just gets stuck. He does a great job though of recovering, but I wish I would have seen him do a little bit more with that. I kind of think it was a low, medium-powered shot right at the keeper. I'd have liked to see him do something a little bit better. Turn and shoot it a little quicker.
Testing the waters a little bit too.
Yeah.
I mean, first half, if you go back and look at the game, it was 16-1. Galaxy has 16 shots on, and we have 1. Not great. And that's the 16-1, not counting that header because obviously it was a foul. But
realistically, that header had no chance of going in.
I mean,
he headed it straight down.
No, yeah, it was not a great header, but it was good enough to where you get the feel for it. Okay, if you see another one, you kind of know where to place yourself better and things like that. I mean, going up for a header, you got to watch out for the goalie. You got to watch out for the defender. You got to jump at the right time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of dynamics that go into it.
Why I don't like the way we're attacking right now is that we're only going for headers and we're not very good at them.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anyone on the team that is good at heading right now.
I want to see more shots from outside the box. I want to see more through balls for one-timers inside the box, obviously.
I think even just cutting it back.
Yeah.
Instead of crossing, just take the guy on and play it on the ground across the face of the goal. I mean, if you watch a top team in the world, a Man United, a Chelsea, a Barcelona, Madrid, that's how they get a lot of goals. Is they have a winger who isn't afraid to take a player on, beat the player, and play it across the goal for someone to run onto and just push in.
Yeah, and a lot of people might say, okay, well that's European ball. That's how they play it over there. It says MLS. No, I've seen it. We got an upcoming match at Atlanta where they have done it.
Yeah,
they have done it. Like these guys, I've said it before, MLS is to be taken serious now, and these guys, they're bringing in international players, and they're bringing that play style over, which is great. But I I didn't see that play style at this home game, which is not necessarily a bad thing. You're going back. You're talking about this is game number two on a game plan that hasn't had much time to develop. And
it's
I hate
a 34 game season, so it's a long season.
yeah, and I hate to keep jumping back on that. Oh, we haven't had that much time, but it's the truth. We haven't had that much time to get a good formation going, or even find the right formation going. That five back to and might not work out. We might maybe switch to the 3 or 4.
And he did. The team did, I think, switch to a more traditional formation about halfway through the first half, where they went to a 4 back, and Fuchs went out and played left back, I believe, and Reno went and played right mid.
Okay.
Which is, I think if we're gonna, that's another reason I kind of was.
But going back to that, I mean, okay, you've had this a lot of time to practice these formations.
Yeah.
You want to switch formations mid game, like that's where confusion starts to happen. I'm like, okay, oh, where I'm supposed to be at now instead. That's so. I say stick with a game plan. And develop it. And that way, guys get comfortable in it. Repetition is how you build up speed.
Yeah.
You don't just
Absolutely.
learn it and like you. Yeah, there's practice, but then there's game days, and game days are totally different. And only through repetition and only through knowing where your position's at and where your guys are gonna be at, that's when you develop your speed. That's when you see those amazing through passes. And that's where you see some of those crosses starting to work.
Yeah.
Because crosses work when you can get there early or cross it early enough where your guy's going to be there before having to wait for him to be there.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with that. I agree. I think, we've got to get the attack figured out. I think, and another big issue I had was just, when we did switch formations, and Fuchs went and played kind of the outside defender, and not just in the first half, but in the second half, I felt like he was our most dynamic attacking player, which is great, but also he's a 35-year-old defender.
Well, now let's take it back a notch. He's a 35-year-old captain, and a captain is supposed to lead by example. So if your defense or your offense, I should say, is not doing what they're supposed to do, then good on them. I mean,
Absolutely great that he's able to do that. I mean, you can see the world-class talent is still there. I mean, he still looks like a top Premier League player. I'm just concerned that he is our best attacking player right now because there's a lot of young talent on that team that I think really need to step it up. And it's just concerning when after 90 minutes, one of your takeaways is, your 35-year-old captain is your most explosive attacking player. I think it's going to be an issue the team needs to figure out. I think, some of these midfielders and forwards really need to step it up. And again, he's the captain. He's leading by example. They really need to be taking notes from him.
Which I'm sure they will.
Yeah, absolutely. I really want to see Lindsay follow him more, kind of start getting that play style a bit more. I'd like to see him be a little bit more of a dynamic player, more of a wingback who pushes forward a lot more. There was stints of it, I felt like, but I just would like to see it be more consistent.
Yeah, I like Lindsay for sure. We did have, that again, they go back to crossing, but this is things that they're trying to develop, instill into their a fundamental of their game. On the over or the extra time, our number, what was it? Number 12, I believe. He had a good little header in there, but I feel like we've analyzed this game a lot and kind of bashed them. Well, not bashed them, but criticized a lot on what could have went and how it could have went. But there's also a lot of praise that can go into this game as far as how well we did against such a strong opponent, which I think will build into coming on to another strong opponent. We're on their turf now.
Yeah.
We had our goalkeeper obviously stepped up, but who was the man? I forget his name, but number 24 on our defense. He stepped up a lot too. He was there a lot to cover Chikorito. Even though I said that nobody was on him, but that's the one guy I kind of saw on the most. And for somebody of his caliber, for a young guy too.
Yeah.
I mean, number 4, Lindsay. That's what you were talking about. Yeah. Lindsay. That's what it was. I mean, this guy's 21 years old. He played at the 2017 U17
well.
World Cup, right? And they lost. They made it all the way to the quarterfinals with this guy, and they lost to England, unfortunately. But England went all the way and won that one.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's a lot. I see sparks there.
Absolutely.
There where I think these guys are going to develop into a really good, strong team.
Yeah, and what I'm actually really excited about too, and we can kind of jump to the second half. I think we've covered. Is there any other final notes you had on the first half, or?
No, not much. I think we covered the first half there pretty well.
Yeah, so I think some of those positives you're mentioning, I do have some positive notes. I know I've been kind of critical. I do think in the first, and so let's jump to the second half. I think in the second half they started a lot stronger. I am worried of it being a little bit of a trend where we start strong for 10, 15 minutes and then kind of lose it. Because I felt like we started really strong. We were really threatening. I'd say even maybe for the first 20 minutes. And then I kind of felt like we lost that for a bit. And then we had some momentum. So I think for me, the biggest takeaway in the second half was the introduction of Ben Bender, number 15, midfielder kind of forward. He was the number 1 draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the team looked a lot more dynamic when he got introduced. I felt like he was starting to move the ball from left to right to left a bit more. Kind of being that connective tissue that I really wanted, from our midfield. And he's very young. I think he's supposed to be a junior in college right now, or maybe senior. So, he's a very young player. I thought technical wise,
he's only 21.
Yeah, he's very young. And I think, technical skill wise, I thought he was top 5 in the team from what I saw. Probably, honestly, maybe Fuchs is probably the only one ahead of him in my eyes from that game. And they almost connected for a goal, towards the end there. But, so I think we have the tools to kind of be the team I want us to see become, just a bit more electric, a little bit more dynamic. And I think he has now, and I believe he had a similar performance against the DC United game where he kind of came on and, brought some more pace to the game, was always in the right spot. And one thing I really like about him that I was noticing watching him, when he's off the ball, he's just constantly scanning the field, constantly just looking around where everyone is. And you can see, that pays off because, he almost had that goal from Fuchs' rebound.
Yeah.
And that's just being in the right spot at the right time. So I think he's going to be a great player. I think he has, in my eyes, earned a spot, a starting spot, especially on a road game where you don't have a lot to lose right now. You have nothing to lose, actually, by throwing him on and seeing what he can do for a half, at least. Let him start a half. Let's see if that he brings some new attacking dynamics into the game. So I think that's something very exciting. I think Sordeshski, I think more time on the team, that'll be good for him. And I think those two linking up will be great.
A starter for sure. I think, like you said before, he had that issue with the visa, but I think he's one of those designated players, so he's gonna be a starter, and I'm expecting a lot of goals out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. So give me your thoughts on the second half.
Okay. Well, like you said, first half, good momentum. There was a A lot of a start, especially at the first start of it. Um, a lot of pressure on LA Galaxy's defense. We had a one or two shots, but like you mentioned before, it kind of went away. But that's just how it goes with soccer. Sometimes momentum shift or there's a lull. Trying to build a play or just some guys will just even do it like that just to get rest. Not saying all, but sometimes it just kind of gets into that lull. Second half, very similar to the first half, but in a reverse type of way. It started out slow for me. I felt like the energy, like you could even kind of feel it. The energy in the stadium was just kind of lull. Like these guys are just passing the ball. Not a lot of chances were created. Um, but then it started picked up around the 60th, 70th minute. You touched on it a bit where, at the 75th minute, Fuchs hops on that bad pass where it intercepts that pass, shoots in, it's blocked, and then Bender follows it up and hits the post.
Let's talk about that for a second. What are your thoughts on should that have been a PK or not?
Absolutely should have been a PK.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, if it's going to put us back in good standings or back on even grounds, yeah, it's a PK.
Gotcha.
I will always say it's a PK for Charlotte, and if it's against us, it's not a PK.
Gotcha.
Those refs were on the payroll for sure.
Yeah, let's touch on that for a second.
Realistically, looking back at it, tough call, but I think it should have been a PK.
Okay.
It's just how the ref sees it.
Yeah.
From my angle, where I saw it, absolutely should have been a PK. From the replay, it definitely looked like it could have been a PK. From the ref side, and you got to call it the way because there's no. Unless they go back to like the monitor, which
the
I
VAR.
don't know how often MLS uses that, but
well, that's how the DC United goal got taken away was from VAR.
yeah, but determining when they use that or not.
Yeah, I think the way that works is that it's up to the ref.
It's up to the ref.
I think so. Yeah.
So again, from his point of view, he determined no, he had the best point of view. He determined it was not a PK. And move on. So you gotta. That's the game. Okay, you got to deal with those. You absolutely have to deal with those. And I'm sure we're gonna encounter some favorable calls there where it's gonna be a game deciding factor on our favor.
Yeah.
So we just gotta move on past those. But then unfortunately after that 75th minute, we do come into that 76th minute goal.
That goal, while the goal itself was great, I mean that no one's going to stop that shot.
No one stops that goal. You put Rene Guita there, or
put anyone there.
Anybody there, nobody's stopping that.
My issue with the goal is Reyna. I believe Reyna drops into our half, wins that ball back, and this is again one of my issues with Reyna. He's just not quick with the ball at his feet to where he needs to turn and distribute that ball. And this is one of those fundamental things where if you're defending, you're in your own half on the left side and you quickly win the ball, that your opponent's right side is vulnerable.
Yeah.
That space is there. So just play the ball in there. But instead he turns and kind of tries to take a dribble. LA strip the ball from him. They make a great play out of it. And then again, our biggest issue I feel like so far has been defenders just gave that guy so much space.
Absolutely right.
No one went to shut that space down. Like, that is just defending 101. Just get in front of him, force him to go left or right or play the ball away. Don't let him take that shot.
Yeah, I've looked at several replays on that goal, just like trying to see, how that curved in there, so beautiful. But he shot that outside the box at least 30 yards.
Yeah.
And there's 3 defenders on him. How does not one guy step up and try to just put pressure on him? Take away that option of shooting. Like,
make him do something else. Make him beat you with a dribble. Make him pass it off.
Instead, they're kind of just getting in their defensive stance, backing up, or like you're giving too much time. way too much time where he decides to shoot. I've heard, and when that went in, and they started playing the replay on the jumbotron there, some fans were saying, "Oh, he got lucky. That was supposed to be a cross." I'm like, he totally meant to do that. He totally meant to shoot that.
Quick note on the fans. You guys are great. The fans are great. They're very passionate.
Of course.
But big but. A little uneducated. A little. I'll give you an example. So we were sitting, and Chicharito does this great run where he, shakes the guy, runs into the space, and he's running onto a through ball. So the ball has been played in front of him.
Oh, right.
And he runs into the space. I think our defense tried to play the offside trap where they don't follow the run. They kind of jump forward to try to catch him offsides. He beats the offside traps. He just times the run perfectly. Mm-hmm. Great forwards do this. They time these runs perfectly.
Yes.
And there's just this mom behind me that just screams, and like my ear was ringing, and I was like, "Lady, that is not offsides." And in the first half again, when the guy shoots and hits the crossbar, there was a lot of people saying he was trying to cross that. I'm sure that's what happens all the time at your kids' clubs games, where someone is trying to cross it and just over crosses it and hits the crossbar. These guys, you could put that guy out there all day in that spot and he could hit that crossbar.
Yeah.
He was not trying to cross it. That was a shot. Same with the goal. He was not trying to cross it. He was shooting.
Yeah.
He put intentionally, he put the spin on the ball, or actually I think it was more of like a knuckleball, to bend away from the keeper into the space of the open net. Like, that's all intentional. It wasn't luck. These guys are that good.
That was a well-placed shot on him.
Because he had all the time to look up, see where it was. Oh, I've done this in practice thousands of times from this spot.
Yeah.
Boom, I know how to hit it.
But, okay, going back on that, though, what you just said, and also to annotate on two things that you just said. One, he's had lots of practice to shoot from there. Our guys have not. I expect those shots to come, and our guys have also not had a lot of time to defend from there. Yes, looking from the outside.
I disagree with you a little bit, because these aren't all brand new 20-year-old rookies. Like,
no, but it goes into the spot where you're like, okay, am I getting him or are you getting him?
Yeah, that's true.
Type of
that's
deal.
True.
But that split second of decision making cost you.
Yeah. But on the offensive side of the ball, like what we were talking about, Sardovsky, and even I think Reyna is not that great of a finisher. I mean, they're both mid-20s forwards who've been playing professionally for a while. Mm-hmm. Some of that stuff is just fundamentals. But I agree with you what you're saying on the defending. Like, yeah, if you hesitate because you think another guy's going to do it, like that split second, that's awesome in these guys.
Now going back to where you're saying, like people are screaming offsides, like that is also a great advantage for home field advantage. You get enough fans screaming offsides, especially the amount of fans that we had, that ref that maybe didn't clearly see it or something, that flag could go up because you got so many people yelling offsides. I was yelling offsides just for the heck of it. Just because it's our team out there playing and that guy had that shot, and I'm like, if that would have went in, I'm definitely saying offsides.
Yeah.
Looking at replay or no replay, like, yeah, man. I mean, that's home field advantage. That's you gotta yell that. You gotta call whether it's offsides or not. You gotta say
you could really feel it too, like on the first foul that he didn't call very early in that first half.
Mm-hmm.
That stadium erupted into boos.
Yeah.
And you knew it was going to be a long night for him. But off tangent. So back to the goal. I mean,
speaking of fouls, what did you think of that yellow that Fuchs had? He tripped up Chicharito. I thought
definitely
it was
a
excellent.
foul.
Definitely a foul, of course. But
I thought the yellow was a little harsh because I felt like
it's from he was nowhere near the ball. He hit him.
No,
I
that's
thought
what I'm saying.
It was
it's
good of our
definitely
captain,
a foul.
just making his presence known and letting him know he's willing to put himself out there.
Yeah,
That's just what I took away from
I
it.
also think it was. I think he genuinely thought he was going to beat him to the ball. I don't think he expected Chicharito to be that fast.
He's a fast little guy.
He is. I think he is faster than I remember him being before. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen him play, but some of the runs he was making, I don't remember him being that kind of dynamic.
Well, you think on it now, because he's in his
like 34,
mid-30s. Let's say mid-30s. Mid-30s playing European ball or overseas ball. That's, unless you're a Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi, that's getting up there. You're slowing down. You're not keeping up with those younger guys that are playing up to you. Mid-30s playing MLS, not to take away from MLS. MLS is great, but playing here, that's still good. Like he's still good enough to play in this league and be somebody to be taken seriously. A threat is what I'm trying to say. Somebody that
absolutely he's a threat.
Will put a game plan developed around your defensive game plan or developed around you because one, you're a world class known player. And two, you are still a legitimate threat. Now, Chicharito, since he's joined the MLS and the LA Galaxy, has been Player of the Week many times. Last season, not this season yet, obviously, but going back on last season, I've seen many posts where he's been up there constantly. So yeah, he's definitely a threat, and it goes back to just our defense not having enough time to know who's going to do what.
Yeah, because, I think on a team with LA, I think it's hard to game plan just against him because you've got Douglas Costa, you've got some other really talented attacking players on there, and even some of their outside defenders were really fast, really dynamic, great technical skill, were able to kind of move. They're able to move in and out of the middle with their center mids. I think you probably do pay more attention to Chicharito. Yeah. But I think with that team, like if you do that, I think you open yourself up for a lot of opportunities to get beat by some of these other guys. Douglas Costa to me really comes into mind just because that guy, and he played great as well. He was he still looked like a fast, powerful winger. And, shout out to Lindsay, the defender for Charlotte. He shut him down a couple of times, which was awesome. He I think it was in the first half, he stared him down after he beat him too. Kind of got up, and I think Douglas Costa kind of slid into past the end line, and he kind of just stared him down, which was awesome. I think there's a lot of talent in the MLS now compared to when we were younger. It was not that serious of a league. You can still see the differences in, let's say the top two MLS teams versus the top two European teams. You can see just how much of a faster game it is over there.
Yeah.
But I think it's always going to
be that way. I feel like it's always going to be that way. I don't think it's going to be to the point where, and I could be wrong because, money talks. But it's never going to be to the point where like MLS is players and we develop these amazing players to that, they're up to that tier. Obviously we have these friendlies where they'll like Galaxy will play Barcelona or something like that.
Yeah.
But guess who wins every time?
Yeah. And it's hard too when the U.S. has done a great job in recent years of growing some top class talent, but they've gone overseas to play. Christian Pulisic, he's at Chelsea.
Yeah.
Weston McKennie at Juventus.
Yeah.
You've got the American Reina, who's at, I believe, Borussia Dortmund. So it's
even previous players and before that, Beasley played overseas.
Yeah.
You know how much I like Beasley.
Yeah. Dempsey, Landon Donovan played for a while.
Yeah. So yes, we do get some of those rough diamonds in the rough. But I think in comparison, MLS will be a league that's strong enough to draw in players from some of these South American leagues that is going to develop the American soccer game into much more than his fundamentals. You're gonna see that flair of magic that really makes us special.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So a little bit of a tangent. Let's get back to the Charlotte game. So we talked about the goal. Post that, so, LA's up 1-0. We're at the 77th minute. What are your thoughts on the rest of the game?
Rest of the game was like a lot of just trying to come back from that. I really, from looking back at the first half and how the second half was starting, I thought we were gonna walk away 0-0, and I thought that 0-0 is a win in my books against
Absolutely.
this team. Not to take away from this loss, but a loss is still a loss. It's still we could have split those points, which this season we're gonna need every point we can get. But building up to just after that goal, our defense still kind of gave up a lot of, well, not a lot, but a couple of shots. Number 4, Corujo, he was outran, and number 11 on Galaxy shoots. Again, thank goodness for our experienced keeper, saves that and clears it out. There was, like you said, our midfield is not using up that space that they could. I remember, standing up and yelling like, we got the ball. It's a counterattack. Everybody should be running up the line.
It felt like no one was.
I was like, and this is like close to stoppage time. Game's not even over. The ref's gonna give you minutes. Take advantage of it, and it's like they're not running, they're not moving. I'm like, what's going on?
To me, there felt like no urgency to get the ball out of our half and to attack. And again,
that could go back to the formation change where guys don't know where they're supposed to be at or what. But it was like,
or if they're just too afraid to push up and lose the ball. That happens all the time too.
Yeah.
You get a guy that gets the ball, turns, he sees empty space. I don't want to take 4 or 5 touches and then lose it. And I just lost it, so I'm already beat at midfield. If I took that space, maybe the back line follows me a little bit. Now they're also out of position because I just randomly lost the ball in the middle of the park. So I get it, but when you're 1-0 down...
1-0 down is not that bad.
Yeah.
1-0 down is workable. Like 1-0, you can build back up from that. And many teams have done it.
So you need to have a sense of urgency to do it, especially within the first 5-10 minutes after being scored on. I mean, that's when you start playing competitive soccer, competitive football, it's one of the first lessons you get taught on both ends. When you first score a goal, hey, get refocused immediately because you're most vulnerable within those 5 minutes after getting scored on. And when you get scored on, you get taught, hey, treat it as a 0-0, go attack, go.
Yeah, back on D. On D.
So it's again, it's one of those fundamental things you just learned of 1-0, you essentially treat it as nothing happens, you need to attack. You can't play scared. And I felt like I don't want to say the team played scared because I don't think they did.
No, they played real strong.
Yeah, I just think we're missing something in the middle of the park to connect when we win the ball in our own half to then distribute out into the middle of the park and then to their own third, LA's third of the field. And I think, again, back to Ben, I think he can be that if they play him a little deeper. He was kind of a bit forward. I'd like to see him play a little deeper. And that way the forwards have some more room, and then you also have your outside defenders that they have room to run into. And he looks like the player that can receive the ball, turn, and distribute. I thought he did that a couple times that night really well. But I think that's just what we're missing right now. Is just that sense of urgency.
It's either going to be Bender or Ortiz. One of those two guys has to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll eventually see it. I think we will.
Yeah.
I think we just need someone to get connected to those two guys. Like, we kind of mentioned earlier on the podcast, beginning of the half, number 13, Brandt. That's what that position needs to be.
Yeah.
Is you win the ball back. If your defenders win the ball back, they need to find him, and then he needs to find that. He essentially needs to be the quarterback and start the play.
Yeah, like you said, I saw a lot of the same things where eventually I'm sure the opposing team defense figured it out. It's like, defense gets the ball back and they're going to the outside and then crossing in, you
Yeah,
know, or if they're gonna,
and
um,
not switching the field. I think
yeah,
that
not switching the field, like they're doing those short passes to get the ball across the field instead of just one long switch or a midfield switch or something like that. Um, Again, it's still early in the season. Uh, the formation needs to develop. Game plan needs more time to develop. Um, but there needs to be something in that midfield that gives you more of an option.
yeah,
Instead of okay, they're gonna either go up the left side or the right side and then cross in. It needs to be one, two guys in that center that's gonna uh, give them more option to either go up the center and then go out, or go out the sides and then back into the center.
yeah,
Somewhere in that lines.
yeah,
Yeah, but still a good loss, an honorable loss for sure.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that covers the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking forward to for this Sunday coming up when they play Atlanta United at Atlanta in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium? What are you looking for?
Well, they are. I'm looking for a defense to step up more. Um, it, it going back into this. This is an away game, so it's going to be tough, especially in that Atlanta arena. They are missing one of their main starters. Atlanta's going to be gone.
I think they've got a couple. I think it's a pretty depleted squad right now. I know one guy has, I think he's a center back, has a heart issue, so I don't know when he will be back, if he will be back, and I think they've got a couple injuries.
Well, they
Um,
one of their main starters was double yelled out. He got
that's
red carded
right.
last game, so
That's
he's
right.
not eligible for
Yeah.
this game.
So I think it's a
Um,
very beatable Atlanta United team. I
yes.
don't think they're as scary as maybe like the name is.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think we have a really good shot at beating them.
That's hopeful. I'm thinking 1-1. In my mind, I see it 1-1, which is fine. I can deal with 1-1 against Atlanta because, correct me if I'm wrong, but Atlanta has won the championship before?
They have, yeah.
Right. So now we're talking uh, third game. Again, our third game is going up against another championship MLS team.
Yeah.
And for a new team, you're going up against champion after champion after champion. Mentally, that can be tough.
Yeah. It's kind of like a marathon of a schedule where you're just, it's tough game after tough game. You got
Right.
no easy ones. I mean, honestly, when I was watching highlights of a couple of the different games that were the past weekend. I don't know if I see a team that it looks easy right now, honestly.
No, exactly. Look, for being a brand new team, we are the easy win. Like,
Yeah.
we're the ones that like they're gonna be walking into and not going 100%. Yeah, they're gonna be trying new stuff on because they can't do it against these tougher teams. We're talking Austin, which is looking really good right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, the LA Galaxy, but also the
FC,
LAFC.
they look great.
Uh huh.
They were unlucky to not come away with a tie. They lost
Yeah.
1-0.
Yeah. But still, yeah. So for a new, fresh team, yeah, there's gonna be absolutely no easy game. Some easier than others, but for Atlanta, I'm looking for a 1-1 tie. I'm looking for a defense to step up more. Atlanta's going to be missing one of their main starters. He got double yelled out, so he's not going to be going. And they have their goalkeeper, Atlanta's goalkeeper.
Shea Given, he's very good.
Good
He
goalkeeper.
used to be a goalkeeper in the Premier League.
One takeaway from that I saw watching his highlights over the past two games, he can handle shots on foot, obviously on foot, but crosses and those quick one timers, those quick goals that are around him, reflex, not all there. So
I mean, he is an older guy.
well, yeah, which is, like I said, going back into this game plan where, they're going up the sides and crossing in could be an advantage.
Yeah.
Could be an advantage. I'm still saying, take more shots. I want to see more shots outside the box. Not enough with the crossing, keep doing that, but develop this other part of the game too, where let's get some midfield bangers going in there. Like
Yeah, at least some plays through the middle.
Yeah, yeah, because going back into DC and LA Galaxy, I saw a lot of more crosses than I did those shots that I like to see. Like mix it up a little, create more opportunity in that center to get those shots off.
And what that does too is it just gives your opponents something else to worry about. Right now, they only have to worry about what, if we're on the right side, okay, they just all they have to worry about is the cross coming from the right. They can double up on the forward.
Yep.
We don't really have anyone running in late to the far post. That was another thing I kind of noticed is, whether that be a midfielder or an outside defender kind of just running in late onto that far post to either recover the ball if it goes over or just, being that sneaky option. Like sometimes, defenders lose track of who's coming into the box. So again, we're kind of just forcing the ball down one side and then onto one guy's head. We're not really even crowding the box that much. A lot of our crosses seem to just kind of be one for one. So yeah, I agree. I'd like to see some more stuff built from the middle of the field to where, maybe forwards make the run into the box and then come out, receive the ball, turn and shoot. Or even just midfielders run through, or midfielders take space and shoot the ball from distance. Any roster changes you'd like to see into the starting lineup? So I think I have a few.
No, I say keep the roster how it is. That way, and I can't emphasize this enough, you gotta build that team chemistry there. You gotta build that trust, knowing where your buddy's gonna be at. You start mixing it up too much. Okay, well, this didn't work last game, so let's switch it up. Like, that's just going to make it even worse. Let your starters be the starters. And unless something happens, whether it be, God forbid, injury or something like that, or somebody really starts stepping up from the bench, let your starters be starters and then start maybe, we start winning a couple games or start tying more games, then maybe think of how to better improve. Not change, but just better improve.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see, mentioned it earlier, Ben Bender into the starting lineup. Yeah. And I think I would almost like to, I'd like to replace him, put him in over Brandt and then move Ortiz to that defensive midfield side and let Ortiz see the ball more often deeper in our field and see what he does with it. See if he takes the dribbles, makes the plays, and then allow him to connect with Ben and let them, do some 1-2s, where, Ortiz is playing to him, making the run off, and then receiving it again. But now he's receiving it, from, I think, someone who's a very good technical player, so he's going to receive a really nice ball to his feet or into space, and now he's also receiving it in the opponent's half. As opposed to, a lot of what we saw in LA was him just receiving these 50-50 balls at the midfield line, which for any playmaker, that's nothing to work with, really.
Well, here's the thing with Ortiz being number 10, he's never going to be like a defensive mid. He's always going to be attacking. Like I said before, number 10 carries a lot of weight, and you're expected at the front making plays. So he's always going to be, in my mind, up there. Bender is good. Yes, I don't think he's better than Brandt. There's a lot of potential, but Bender is still young. And, he's a good substitute that when Brandt is tired or something happens, he can come in and quickly take over without having to warm up.
Yeah.
But, yeah, let's keep an eye on Bender for sure and see how he develops. And I'm gonna keep an eye on that Reyna. I think he's got potential. Yeah,
that would be my last change. I think take Reina out. I think, I think instead of playing with the five in the back, I think we should go with the more traditional four in the back, four mids, and the two forwards, or even just one forward and five mids. And I think one player that we haven't really touched on, Davies. I think in the DC United game, he had a great game. He some good attacking, potential there. And then I think he, did the same in the LA game. He came on really late, like 82nd minute or so. So we didn't get to see a ton, but I did see a lot of him in the DC game that looked really good. He kind of looked like that dynamic fast winger that we would, like that I think isn't afraid to take on a defender and cut into the box. So I'd like to see him put into the starting lineup, or maybe just subbed on earlier. Yeah, I think for this game against Atlanta, from what I've seen of Atlanta so far, they're very good at moving the ball diagonally across the field, on the ground, in the air, players running in and out of space.
Mm-hmm.
I think Charlotte needs to take a page out of that notebook and start doing some more of that themselves in this game. I think that's the only way you're going to find enough space to get those goal scoring opportunities.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. We'll see. Obviously they haven't announced, or I don't think they've announced the lineup yet for this upcoming game, but I don't expect a lot of changes to be made for it. I think they're just going to let this thing develop and kind of grow roots and see what works, which I believe it will. Again, 1-1 is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, that'll be great. All right, well, I think that wraps everything up. Any closing notes from you?
One last guy I forgot to mention was that Daniel Rios out of Mexico. He was subbed in. That's another key player to keep your eye on. He's played with Nashville for 2 seasons and then was transferred over to Charlotte. So that's another guy to definitely keep an eye out. He's a forward. So he subbed in, but when he got subbed in, he had a header. And, that late in the game and getting a shot, that to me is like,
there's value there.
Put a little asterisk there beside it and keep your eye on him.
Yeah, there's definitely
number
value
12,
there.
I believe it is.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for listening. That's our first official episode of the Offsides podcast, the unofficial official podcast of Charlotte FC. If you like it, tell a friend. This will also be posted on YouTube, and we will have a Twitter and Instagram and TikTok account, so give those a follow, and we will see you guys next week. I believe the podcast going forward is going to come out on Tuesdays, so we will see you guys next week to talk about how we did against Atlanta. You guys have a good one.
Peace.
And then you just said stop recording.